At 2 p.m., you are likely operating at your peak. You make decisions, navigate complex social situations, and generally feel a sense of rational control over your life. But when the clock hits 2 a.m. and the room plunges into darkness, that exact same person often vanishes. You are suddenly highly anxious, hyper-fixated on minor mistakes, and convinced that your life is on the verge of catastrophe. Then the mental arithmetic begins. You look at the clock and calculate, if I fall asleep right now, I can still get 5 hours, then 4.5 hours, then 4. This diagram illustrates exactly what happens next, a cruel, self-defeating feedback loop. The intense pressure to secure enough sleep signals to your brain that being awake is a threat. Your body responds to this fabricated danger by releasing adrenaline and cortisol, the exact stress hormones that make falling asleep biologically impossible. So why does resting in a quiet, physically secure bedroom trigger an intense psychological crisis? And why does that intense dread completely evaporate the moment the sun comes up? Modern daylight hours are incredibly loud. From the moment you wake up, your brain is bombarded with emails, conversations, and endless scrolling. This constant external stimulation forces your mind into a continuous, active state of output. When you lie down to sleep, that sensory input drops instantly to zero. You lose the external tasks that successfully anchored your attention all day. Neurologically, this sudden silence activates the default mode network, or DMN. The DMN is a network of interacting brain regions that powers up when we stop focusing on the outside world. Without distractions to process, the DMN pulls your attention entirely inward, directly into rumination. This conceptual gauge represents a critical vulnerability in your neurochemistry. By the end of a long day of working and regulating your behavior, your prefrontal cortex, the evolutionary newest part of the brain responsible for logic and reason, suffers from extreme cognitive fatigue. Your amygdala, however, does not tire out. This is the primitive emotional center that processes fear. At night, the logical brakes of your prefrontal cortex are completely worn down, leaving the impulsive amygdala entirely unchecked to spin minor worries into worst-case scenarios. We are walking around with hardware optimized for the Pleistocene era. For early humans, the night was highly dangerous. Those who stayed hyper-vigilant in the dark and listened for snapping twigs survived to pass on their genes. Today, you are safe behind locked doors, but your brain still executes that mild biological shift into threat detection mode. Because there are no nocturnal predators to worry about, your mind attaches that lingering survival anxiety to modern, abstract threats, to your finances, a weird email from your boss, or your career trajectory. The 3 a.m. spiral is a profound biological mismatch. You are attempting to process modern, abstract stressors using an exhausted, prehistoric threat detection system. During the day, we routinely suppress our emotions to function socially. You swallow your frustration during a meeting or brush off a feeling of loneliness to keep working, accruing a stack of unpaid emotional debts. Emotions demand to be processed. If you push them down during the day, they simply wait for you in the dark. At night, the brain finally has the bandwidth to file away the day's emotional data, forcing those ignored feelings to the surface. A daytime anxiety is often manageable because it is paired with agency. If you are stressed about a project at noon, you can open your laptop and take action to fix it. At night, you are stripped of that agency. Your brain is screaming at you that there is an urgent threat to resolve, but your physical reality demands passive stillness and a bed. This creates a psychological pressure cooker. Your mind is desperately trying to solve a problem that your body isn't allowed to act on yet. This graph illustrates the trap of midnight regret. In the morning, you wake up with the optimism of an ideal, highly productive day. But by nightfall, the results are in. You are forced to lie in the dark and measure the gap between the perfect self you imagined and the flawed reality of the day you actually lived. The extreme silence of the night magnifies this feeling. Because the rest of your hemisphere is unconscious, the darkness shrinks your universe down to the size of your bedroom, creating an illusion of total isolation, where your personal failures feel entirely unique to you. Midnight overthinking is rarely an actual search for solutions. It is a frantic psychological attempt to regain control in an environment where physical action is impossible. The relief we feel upon waking is driven by a literal chemical flush. While you sleep, the brain's glymphatic system clears out metabolic waste and neurotoxins, including adenosine, the exact chemical responsible for making you feel exhausted. This process physically restores your prefrontal cortex. The rational, regulating adult is put back on duty, ready to apply logic to your fears. At the same time, your body releases a natural morning spike of cortisol to pull you out of sluggishness. Combined with morning sunlight, which triggers serotonin production, your brain physically shifts out of threat detection and back into task execution. Daylight also brings back visual reality and physical routines. Tangible actions like making breakfast or taking a shower shrink the vast existential void of the night back down to the immediate, manageable present. Understanding the hard science behind the night strips away the shame of it. You are simply experiencing the natural vulnerability of a tired mind in a quiet room. The most effective strategy you can deploy at 2 a.m. is recognizing that you lack the biological tools to solve your problems and granting yourself permission to surrender to the morning.